It's that time again. Welcome to the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show. I'm your host, future Dallas Stars Hall of Famer, Ralph Strangis. And welcome to the program. This week we got a really fun show. We have Stars President Brad Alberts for an extended conversation with me. We talk about all kinds of things, mostly centered on the Hall and how do you recognize players and other individuals within an organization when you can't hang every jersey and you can't put everybody on a walk of fame and you can't put a statue up on the plaza for everybody. And so that's where this Hall of Fame came from. And we're going to talk to him about that as well as other Dallas Stars initiatives now and going forward, including he hints at, is there a new building on the horizon for the Dallas Stars and their fans? And will a physical Hall of Fame be a part of it? Well, we're going to ask him about that. And then at the end in our Ralph Stack, we're going to parallel those thoughts and talk about who gets the number raised, who gets the statue, and who gets to get into the Hall of Fame. All that and more in another special Hall of Fame edition of the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show. Right now, let's bring in our guest. Dallas Stars President Brad Alberts. Brad, how are you? Welcome to the show, and I'm excited to have you because a couple of weeks ago, I got a call from you telling me that I was going to be inducted into the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame, and even that, there's a story to that, but I'm really excited about all of this, and thank you so much for the honor.
Well, thanks for having me on here, Ralph, first of all, and obviously you're one of those people that this is why we created the Hall of Fame, so that we could honor legacies and a life of dedication to our franchise. And you certainly are one of those people that have done that, and all the people that you've touched and all the fans that you've brought, into hockey, into watching, into the Stars. It deserves a legacy. And now Ralph Strangis is going to be part of this franchise forever, which is really cool.
It's really cool. I think back to even going to games in Minnesota way back when. And now it's me and Norm and Neil Broughton.
Yeah.
That's the links to the North Stars, right? And you got Stuckey.
And Gainey and Bob Gainey.
Gainey, right? Yep. And you got Stuckle banging around in there too.
Yeah.
But he's not in the Hall yet.
Not yet.
One of these days, maybe. So tell me a bit about then how you guys came around and who drove this to create this Hall, and then how did you decide on the parameters for inductees and things like that?
Well, I think the roots of it, Ralph, go back to, when I came back to the franchise in 2012, which obviously you were there, where this franchise was at the time. And I think it was all part of the plan to rebuild this organization. And part of that plan was to honor our past. And I think we needed the organization to be mature enough to be able to do it. But it certainly was in my head back in 2012 and 2013 as a way to reconnect the fan base to the franchise, celebrate the great, era of the late 90s that we had. And that's really where it started. I remember having a conversation with Tom Ghilardi, probably 4 or 5 years ago now, where I said, Tom, I really think it's time that we added a Dallas Stars Hall of Fame. I think the organization now is mature enough to do it. To his credit, he agreed with me, and that began our first class, where we added the owners, and then we added Bob, and who did we add as a player? Darian Hatcher, right? Yep. So Hatch was a great, as the captain of our '99 team. Hatch and Heather were perfect additions to this. And we had a blast. And it's, as I told you, it's now turned into one of my most fun weekends of the year, because we get so many people to come back and really remember, the accomplishments and the tremendous era that we had from, 96 through, 2006, where we had incredible talent here and incredible players. So it's become a really, really cool event.
And the process then, Brad, how did you go about finding the selection committee, defining who those people would be, and then sort of putting together the infrastructure of the Hall of Fame and the Hall of Fame committee?
Yeah, we obviously wanted to, incorporate media, some that are currently covering the team on the beat, and also, some that used to, like Tim Collishaw. So we've got, I think, all of, not all, but certainly a great majority of the main media members in Dallas that are covering the team on a daily basis involved in this. And then we obviously have Dallas Stars employees who are the caretakers of our franchise, Dan Stukel, Matt Bowman and I, Tom, that are part of this now. Jim Lights, our former CEO, who obviously has ties to the entire history of this franchise, who's now been inducted into this. Jim's now part of the voting group. Razor is part of the voting group. So I think we've got a really good, diverse group of members on the committee. And I think for the first 4 years here, we've had a pretty easy time getting the votes through and getting all of you inducted. It's been pretty easy.
That's it makes me feel really good that that I'm in that group of four, I guess
Yeah.
to call it.
Yeah.
That
Should.
and that these four builders, including me, we've
Yep.
been there. Bob, Hitch,
Yep.
Jim,
Yep.
and me. We all kind of came up into this together, and it's so great to be able to share in that, with everyone. So what happens? So you're sitting around in the meeting, and somebody says, "Yeah, Ralph should go in." And then everybody goes, "Oh, I don't know." I mean, how does it, how does that go in the meetings? Like, you have to have a formal, does somebody make a formal, nomination, or how does that work?
Yeah, Joe Calvillo, our head of PR, sends out a list of all the eligible, players and builders to the committee, and then we get together typically sometime in June and review that list, and everybody puts forth their votes. And then we have discussion around, the voting, the people that we've been put forth. And then we have a final vote. So the list goes out, everybody nominates their two candidates. Then we get together and we have a vote and discuss. So, there's a list that gets circulated around with all of the players that are available and eligible. And the same thing with the builders.
What's the eligibility requirements?
That is a great question, Ralph. And I knew you were going to ask me that. I know 10 years in the organization for sure as a builder.
Okay.
And I don't have the player eligibility in front of me. I can't remember. I'll have to go look at that.
That's right. That's all right. But there is a criteria, and somehow I fit.
There is. Yep.
There is a criteria, and somehow I fit the criteria. And then the other guy you're inducting this year is Joe Nieuwendyk. And it's interesting that Joe and I share a lot of sort of similarities, right? That we were both around during the big days. We both worked for the team in, sort of different capacities. And then Joe and I were both kind of gone about the same time. And so I'm very excited to share this with Joe. And, Joe is as important a guy as we've ever had, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't win the Stanley Cup without Joe Nieuwendyk.
Yeah.
There's no question. And so this is why, we're not going to retire everybody's numbers. And I think this is where this kind of came from too, Ralph, is obviously we went and we honored Mo and we retired his number, and we knew that we were going to do Let's, and we knew probably Zuby was going to be up there as well. But there's other people that needed to be recognized that we're probably not going to retire their numbers for obvious reasons. And so that's really another, driver behind the Hall of Fame. And Joe Nieuwendyk's a perfect example of that. Joe needs to be recognized by this organization. He didn't spend his entire career here. In fact, he won cups in other places. So, but he was an incredibly instrumental, guy in our 99 championship. And you could have made the case that we were probably better in 98, and his injury may have prevented us from winning a cup in 98. And so this is exactly, the reason why we have the Hall of Fame, so that we can now honor Joe's legacy.
Well, and we have no physical hall yet. So I heard, wait, so I did hear that there might be a plaque going in over the urinal on the platinum level that I used to use a lot. Is that right? As a temporary spot? Is that, here's where with a plaque of my face over the urinal in the plaque. Are there plans to build a facility, Brad?
Well, it certainly is. In my vision is to figure out a way that we can create a brick and mortar Hall of Fame that can be open 365 days a year, where our fans and tourists can come and feel what it's like to experience the Dallas Stars in its history. So we don't have plans yet, but certainly that is the vision. If we can figure out, where we're going to go with our future here from an arena perspective, maybe we can figure out how we can add a Hall of Fame to that plan. It certainly would make me very happy if we could have a fixed structure where all of your legacies now live and are open to the public to be able to come in and experience that.
You've done so much with the team. I mean, I get to go watch playoff games with you, and it's a great marker for me when I come back, because there's time that usually passes, whether it's a year or 2 years, whatever it is. And I see all that victory green and all the things you've done with that organization and the reach and the depth and all these different things. What are you most proud of, or what are the things that you've really sort of championed yourself in your time as president of the Dallas Stars? And what's ahead? Like, what are you happy about that you've done, and where do you think the organization's going to go?
Well, that's a deep question there, Ralph, and it's got, and there's deep answers, but I'm glad you asked it because, I think we're about ready to head into a very transformative time period, maybe the greatest transformative period in the franchise's history, certainly since leaving Minneapolis to come to Dallas. I mean, we really, our lease at the American Airlines Center, it's just crazy. It just feels like it was, built yesterday, is now, we're staring at the end of it in 2031. And so we've got to figure out what we're going to do. And are we going to stay at the American Airlines Center? Or are we going to leave? And so we're in the middle of, those studies. And if we leave the American Airlines Center, where are we going to go? What is the opportunity? Ralph, the business of sports and entertainment, as you and I have discussed, off camera, is changing rapidly. And for all of us that are in this business, if you don't evolve and you don't innovate, you are going to get blown away. And my analogy is you'll be dead before you knew you were sick. And so I think the franchises that innovate and evolve and really kind of start to understand where the business is going are going to be the ones that get ahead in the next 15 to 20 years. Where we've come from, where, season tickets and advertising and television were kind of the main drivers of the revenues that kind of supported this business, those revenues and those businesses are changing. We've talked about television. Television is not going to be what it was for the last 25 to 30 years. So again, you've got to evolve and you've got to innovate. Complaining about it is like complaining about paying your taxes. It's not going to change anything. You've got to evolve and you've got to figure out how to make your business strong enough to be able to continue to pay, top NHL players, cap money. We're a cap team. We want to continue to be. We've got really talented players here. We want to continue to be. We're a destination market. All those things are playing into this. What makes me most proud, I think, is really, we've rebuilt this team out of the 2009, 2012 bankruptcy. We've returned this franchise to where it belongs, which is one of the NHL's greats. We're a destination for players. Our fan base is as strong as ever. We've got 120 straight sellouts. That's a testament to our great fan base in Dallas. It's a testament to you and the things that you built over the 25 years and helping us get there. And I'm really excited about honoring our alumni. I'm really proud to be able to say to people like yourself and to Joe and to all the other folks that have, we've recognized, thank you. Because without you and without Zuby and without Letts and obviously without Mo and Joe, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have this job. This franchise wouldn't be what it is. And so I'm just proud and honored to be the caretaker of this. And I feel like, we've done a lot of the right things. We're not perfect, but we think about the fans. We think about our future fan base and how to attract them and how to communicate with them. At the same time, we want to honor and respect our past.
Real quick then, too, how do you like your team? This is a different, and again, I'm not exactly sure how the dynamic works between you and Jim Nill and whether you're in on a lot of that stuff or it's kind of different from situation to situation. But it was, and I really liked our team last year. I really thought maybe that was going to be the thing. And yet, Robo and Miro getting hurt was not part of the plan, but those things happen, right? How do you like what's happening going forward now? And it's going to be a challenge. It's a different coach, it's a different thing. What's your vibe on what's going to happen going forward next year for your hockey team?
Well, every year is different, and I know that we've got a great core. We love our core. Jim's done a great job, building a sustainable team model here where we're not just, a flash in the pan and then we have to go to the bottom and rebuild and all those kind of things. As I said earlier, we're a destination franchise. NHL players, want to play in Dallas again, which is really good. That's a testament to what we've built. It's a testament to Jim and his staff and what they've done there. Jim and I communicate a lot. He keeps me in the loop on everything that's going on over there, what he's thinking. We've got a great working relationship. I couldn't complain about any of that. I've got a 3-time general manager of the year as my partner running hockey. It's a true blessing. So I think, hey, we've been to the Western Finals, Ralph, 3 years in a row. That consistency is incredible. It's exactly what you want to have at the professional sports level. You want to have a consistent competitor. We're more than just being another team in the league. We are one of the top 5 teams in the league. Now, for us, we've said it, we're committed, and we've got to figure out a way to get over the hump and win another Stanley Cup. And that's now what Glenn Gulletson and Neil Graham and the rest of the coaching staff now that are new, Naz is coming back. Jeff Reese will be back. I mean, the staff now has to figure out, and they know that, how to get this team over the hump. But you ask, how do I like our team? I love our team. I mean, we've got, there's 25 other NHL teams that would love to be us. Yeah. So the guys have to put it together. They know that. There's a strong desire in that locker room to win a championship, not only for themselves, but for this franchise in the city. And, Gully, here we go. Now here's your opportunity to be a hero. Let's figure out a way to get this group, over the hump. But hey, we got to start all over again in October. It's not about the playoffs. It's about going through the regular season grind. And our guys have to be prepared for that. And I think we will be. I think our guys are going to be hungry, and let's go jump into it and see what we've got.
I'm very excited about the upcoming season. I like Gully a lot. Like I spend time with Gully. I like him a lot. It's funny that Joe and I were talking about this Nieuwendyk that, we were there at the beginning, Joe hired him. Yep. And so we will look ahead then to the weekend of November 14th, 15th, 16th in Dallas. And if fans want to participate, if they want to buy tables or tickets or they want to be there, how do they do that?
Yeah, they can DallasStars.com/foundation. It's all all the proceeds go to our foundation and then that gets passed along to our great partners at St. Philip's. It's a great fundraiser for St. Philip's. It's at Gillies. I want to know who you're bringing. Like, who are you going to bring? And is the father going to be part of the program? We got to get Father Josh in.
Father Josh is already on my table list. Okay. Perfect. And so we have to have him now. For people who don't know, Father Josh is my friend, Brad's pastor at St. Rita. And he sat with us during the games. Father Josh is a great dude, and we'll have to have him come up and do some sort of invocation. We can do that.
For sure.
My mother's still alive at 86, and she has already picked her outfits out for the entire weekend.
Nice.
And then my daughter's coming. My family's coming. All my siblings are coming. My ex-wife, Stephanie, is coming. You know Stephanie. Stephanie and I are very good friends, and she's going to sit at the table with me. Dan Stukel is going to be my presenter, and Stukes and I go back to the Minnesota North Stars together. So that'll be really nice. And he's living in my old house. So what am I going to do? Right? Like,
gotta have Stukes do it.
Right. I didn't get the price I wanted from him on the house. So this is payback. So he's got to go up. He's got to go up and do this. But lots of friends, Brad, and I have a group of guys that I went to grade school with. There's about 8 of us. And we've stayed in touch over the years, and I have a table just for those guys.
Oh, that's awesome.
They're all coming, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm so moved. It's, I never really had a formal retirement party, or I never sort of closed the circle on any of this. And this is really exciting for me, for my family, for my friends, and to just be there with everybody. Like, Newey and I are so back in the day, it was me, Joe Nieuwendyk, Jamie Langenbrunner, and Dan Stukel. And every Sunday we had Sunday afternoon football club in the fall, and we'd watch the Vikings at my house. And because Lipper and I were Vikings fans, Stukes is a Packer guy, and Newey jumped in the Viking boat. So we're going to have Sunday noon. The Vikings play the Bears on November 16th. We're going to get a room and we're all going to watch the Vikings game together.
Nice.
So we're going to reassemble that. And I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled for this weekend, Brad. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you and the Stars and Tom Ghilardi for putting this honor on me. I'm very excited. I can't wait to do it.
Well, you deserve it, and I'm glad that we were able to make this, happen for you. You are going to have a blast that weekend. Everybody that's been a part of this, Hitch, Eddie, Bob, Darian, they, all have absolutely loved it. It's a great time to, reminisce and talk about the good times of, the last 25 to 30 years for, Minnesota North Stars and Dallas Stars hockey for you. It'll be great to just honor Joe's time with us and reminisce about his Conn Smythe and his helping us win that, with the Stanley Cup in '99, and having everybody that's attached to your two groups come back together. The dinners, are a blast, and certainly the night at Gillies is an awesome time. So you're going to love it. I'm glad that we were able to make it happen for you.
Brad, thank you. Thanks for joining me today on the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, and we will do this again as we get closer. We'll talk
Thanks,
about,
Ralphie.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Finally, in today's Ralph Stack, you can't retire and hang every number, and you can't erect statues of every legend who wore the uniform. But in any sports organization, there are key contributors who touch the franchise and connected with the fan base who demand acknowledgement and deserve a lasting place in the team's consciousness. And so we have rings of honor and halls of fame, and I'm very glad that we do. I'm being inducted as a builder into the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame in November, and I joined Joe Nieuwendyk, who goes in under the player category. Without this Dallas Stars Hall of Fame, neither one of us would be formally recognized like this. Fans, media, and those of us who work in or have worked in sports like kicking around things like who should have their number retired, or who goes into a Ring of Honor or Hall of Fame, and who gets a statue. Well, for the Dallas Stars, the statue was easy. There was one guy who did more than anyone and transcended all of it. Mike Modano, the franchise's all-time leading scorer, the highest scoring American-born player in NHL history, and the guy who we built it around is immortalized in artists Omri Amrani and Sean Bell's stunning work that depicts Mo in motion, with his trademark not tied down jersey flapping behind him, eyes up, stick flexed, and ready to lift fans out of their seats. Mike is also the first actual Dallas Star to have his number retired. The Stars inherited Minnesota's retired numbers, 19 for Bill Masterton and 8 for Bill Goldsworthy. The first one that went up in Dallas was number 7 for Neil Broughton, but Neil did most of the entirety of his work with the North Stars in Minnesota. Later, the Stars would send Yuri Letnin's number, 26, and Sergei Zubov's 56 up to the rafters. When Zubov's number went up, that was that. It's the last one that they've hung. There was nothing else to honor key franchise contributors, and it prompted questions from all points, especially about players who wore the Stars uniform and whose number would be next. I remember hearing the debates among fans and people inside the organization, and everybody had their opinions. Is Derian Hatcher or Ed Belfour or Brendan Morrow or Joe Nieuwendyk guys we should talk about whose numbers should be taken out of service? Or is there something else we can do? And what about people who didn't play but had huge impact here? What should we do with Bob Gainey, Ken Hitchcock, Jim Lites, or Ralph Strangis? And what about all the others like Les Jackson or Craig Button or Doug Armstrong or other team executives? As we learned today on the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, and speaking with Stars president Brad Alberts, the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame was in his head since his return to the franchise in 2012. At that time, the team was coming out of very hard times, the bankruptcy and the pending ownership change, and was not, in Brad's words today, mature enough to handle a Hall of Fame. But we are now, and it's perfect. It's big and important, and the weekend boasts big festivities and huge money raised for the Dallas Stars Foundation. Here, We'll talk about dividing lines for who gets acknowledged and in what way, and look at those who have already been inducted. In my conversation with Brad Alberts today, he mentioned that the bulk of the honors so far have been and are fixed toward the 1996 to 2006 timeline, the most successful days of the franchise on the ice. The interesting thing about that spread of years, as I pointed out before, is it exactly parallels Sergei Zubov's time with the Dallas Stars. Zubov's jersey retirement is one of the highlights of my life and career because he asked me to be on stage with him. He got to pick three people. He picked Bob Gainey, Kevin Lowe, his first defense partner in New York, and me. Zuby and I are close, but this was unexpected for me in a big way. If your number hangs, you're automatically in the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame. So Sergei Zubov is in. So is Mike Modano and Yuri Letnin. Yuri invited me to his jersey retirement ceremony in November of 2017. And Neil Broughton is in. So is Bill Goldsworthy and Bill Masterton. Masterton died as a result of an injury sustained on the ice on January 15, 1968. The NHL's Bill Masterton Trophy recognizes perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the game. Goldie, who popped big goal-scoring numbers with Minnesota, is also gone. Their families are invited to all these events. Also in the Dallas Stars Hall of Fame are former Dallas owners Norm Green and Tom Hicks. Norm hired me and got us to Texas. Tom Hicks took us all to the promised land. I've only been to one Dallas Stars Hall of Fame ceremony, the first one in 2022. I was invited by Bob Gainey, the first in the builder category. I spoke with Bob yesterday about the event and life in general. And if I'm ever needing a calm, zen, grounding experience, I get Gainey on the phone. Bob and I go back to 1990. We were hired within a few weeks of each other, and we bonded over the years on things that have nothing to do with hockey, and I know that's been important to both of us. Bob is as important a guy as the organization has ever had. He was my first head coach to work with, my second GM, and he built a culture of accountability and respect. He hired Ken Hitchcock and helped develop Doug Armstrong into one of hockey's most respected executives. Army has to be on the list of future Stars Hall of Famers. Going with Bob that year was Darian Hatcher. Hatch, the first U.S.-born captain to lift the Stanley Cup, was a force and a presence and was Mike Modano's bodyguard. JR got out of line with Mo. JR was eating his meals through a straw for weeks. In 2023, it was Ken Hitchcock and Ed Belfour. The pairing is fantastic, as Hitch and Eddie's battles over the years are the stuff of legend, culminating when Belfour once called the timeout, skated to the bench, and told Hitch to stop looking at him. Hitch was at the helm in our best days and was behind the bench for the 1999 Stanley Cup win. Also, and not unimportantly, Ken Hitchcock was uber media friendly and got into bed with the Tickets Hardline show in those early days. He was instrumental in selling hockey to the Metroplex. Ed Belfour is still the only goalie to get it done for the Stars. Still, Eddie could go 4 rounds. Hell, he could probably go 5. Marty won 3 playoff series in his career. Kari Lehtinen couldn't get out of the first round. And Otter is trying to figure out how to win more than 2 series in a given spring. But the Eagle was the man. The third Dallas Stars Hall of Fame class, inducted last year, featured Brendan Morrow and Jim Lites. Brendan was the epitome of the great overachieving warrior. Blessed with the speed of a bottom 6 forward and the hands of a rock hauler, Morrow willed himself into a dependable 25 to 30 goal scorer with a nasty edge who was capable of putting the team on his back, which he did, especially in big games. His timing sucked. He arrived months after the Cup win and never got one, but his fingerprints are all over the organization. Jim Lites' contributions are very hard to overlook. He was there shortly after we got to town and directed myriad business initiatives, big and small. Lites was part of all of it and enjoyed being out front and in the public sphere. He had a huge hand in securing broadcast outlets and big rights fees, and for the most part did what anyone in that chair was supposed to do with us. Just leave us the hell alone and let us do our thing. And now, the fourth class. Dallas Stars Hall of Fame class of 2025 featuring Joe Nieuwendyk and Ralph Strange. Hey, that's me! And to bring it all around then, in my view, Hatch, Eddie, Brendan, and Joe, probably not in the category of retired numbers or statues, right? And Bob, Hitch, Jim Lites, and now yours truly, we had no place to go. But now we do. And now they're stuck with me. and all of us. Someday, as Brad hinted today, there will be a physical hall, potentially attached to a new arena. But for now, I suggested they put a plaque above the urinal in the men's room on the platinum level I used to use during hockey games. Hey guys, I'm just super thrilled to be a part of all of this. And that's our show for today. I want to thank Stars President Brad Alberts for joining me. A nod, as always, to my assistant, Kelly Ortiz. Next week, a different kind of show. We'll have Savannah Hugh Muller. She'll give us a Midsummer Stars update. And we'll return to our 100 Miles from Hockey segment with highlights from my upcoming weekend trip to Los Angeles to see Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl and a return visit to Universal Studios. I haven't been there in years. I wonder what's new. Now to take you out, some images of the guys already in the Stars Hall of Fame. Until next week then, I'm Ralph Strangis. For the Ralphcast, the podcast, the TV show, we'll see you soon.